Fighting off spawn is the most important part of the game, so how do pros win every time? In the most RNG based point in the game, these fights could either make or break your tournament. Pros know it's better than anyone, so I took the time to ask them, as well as play 100 games before and after hearing their advice to see how much I can improve my win rate and see why it's impossible to fight pros off spawn. So what does off spawn fighting actually look like? Most videos I've seen split up into 3 categories: dropping, positioning, and looting. When jumping out of the bus, your glider auto deploys 100 meters from the ground. The map varies in elevation, so dropping over a mountain versus flat ground will force glide at different heights. Pros find the areas with the lowest elevation around their drop to ensure they land on the ground first, giving them control over the best spot in the POI. The best spot is usually determined by its loot and positioning. Good positioning, usually on higher elevation, gives better sight lines and peak advantages, but it also creates control over an area, allowing the player to get more loot, giving them a better chance at good weapons and shield. While these are good guidelines for playing off spawn, you may realize there's something missing. All 3 of these things create advantages to help win off spawn, but fighting ability determines the outcome. You can have all these advantages and still lose if you don't know how to fight off spawn. And by you, I mean me. I may be one of the worst off spawn fighters to ever do it. In my first 100 games, I hot dropped the medallion POIs to ensure I was contested while also fighting in different landscapes, and won a total of 26 games, meaning I died off spawn 74 times. I won't go into everything I did wrong so this video doesn't take an hour, but this is the breakdown. My box fighting and positioning deaths were usually the result of a 50-50 from a bad edit or running into the open instead of holding an angle, leading to straight aim duels. And if you don't know about my aim yet, yeah, my awareness also got exposed by the amount of times I got third partied. You could see in every clip, visual audio was practically begging for me to pay attention, but I wouldn't notice until it was too late. This was a common occurrence due to how passive I played some of these fights. I was scared to take aggressive angles, but when I did, the opponent would run into the building and I could never track their position, leading me to play super safe or run around the building trying to find them. Now, I wouldn't consider myself to be a bad fighter. I'm definitely better in creative or mid game when I'm fully looted, but what off spawns has taught me is that I'm building made. When fighting off spawn, you have minimal resources, meaning you have to rely on your raw fighting ability to win. But what does this look like? Off spawn fighting comes down to 4 fundamentals that pros do better than anyone else. First and most important is aim. Look at these 2 loadouts. If you had to guess who wins, you would clearly choose A. They have the loot advantage, mat advantage, and even the height advantage. However, they missed their pump shots while Jeff hit all his AR shots to win the fight. In smaller drops, fights often end as close range aim duels where movement also plays a big role. In this game, Seti lands on the pistol and goes to key his opponent in the shipping container. Here he has a left hand peek, putting him at a disadvantage, so as they run out the crate, Seti jumps over him while shooting to pick up the kill. From the opponent's POV, you could see he had his crosshair where he expected Seti to be, then had to quickly adjust to find him in the air, but by that point, he was already dead. With all the movement that's been added to the game, there's a skill gap in using it to win fights off spawn. Watch how Ferdoxy manages to win this fight after being hit down to 14 HP with no mats.
Skal jeg samtale?
Ja.
Du så går.
Jamen, kunne lige hjælpe.
Next is angles. Holding angles behind cover is something native to all FPS games since you can't build your own. Off spawn is similar, but the key difference is the advantage you get from a right hand peek. In games like Valorant, your camera is dead center on your eyes, making a peek on the left side no different from the right. In Fortnite, the camera sits above your right shoulder, so you could be completely hidden while still being able to see past the wall, allowing for clean shots while barely being exposed. This of course is extremely strong, so you see pros looking to create this angle on natural cover whenever their mats are limited. The last and most underrated part of fighting off spawn is decision making. No 2 off spawns are the same, and you're forced to make decisions on the fly. The experience pros have is a huge advantage here, allowing them to make better decisions quickly from being in similar scenarios. Look at this off spawn by Clicks. He tried to place a wall, but the opponent got it, so with no mats, he sprints and slides around the corner while farming the floor to create one more build to block his back. Then instead of continuing to run, he turns back around to catch the opponent off guard and win the aim duel. While I was more impressed by him farming the floor for the extra build, he said this about the play he made.
I always do that play, bro. You place a ram chat, acting like you're about to leave since you're low, and you just spin back.
And he's not lying about that move either, because he did the same thing in the Divisional Cup 2 days later. Now having a better idea of what I needed to do off spawn, I saw immediate improvement. I was playing for more right hands and utilizing my movement to get in better positions to win the fight. I was also more confident fighting without a shotgun and was winning purely off angles and hitting shots. Improving Offspawn seemed much clearer focusing on these 4 things, but as I mentioned earlier, these are just the fundamentals. Most decent players already know this, so what separates the pros from them? I asked pros on Twitter, and the best answer I got was from 50k earned pro Seek. He said knowing how to adapt quickly and awareness is big. Having good awareness means you're processing everything happening around you, which allows you to make better informed decisions. In his example, you have an SMG while the opponent has a shotgun. Taking a close range fight makes the shotgun more effective, while playing distance neutralizes the advantage and increases your odds of winning the fight. Being aware could seem like a simple concept, just pay attention, but what pros pay attention to is the difference. Using the same example, an average player may use visual or audio cues to know the opponent has a shotgun and needs to play distance, while the pro on the other hand saw the opponent dropping on the shotgun near 4 slurp barrels and trees where they could quickly farm materials, letting them know they'll have at least 140 health and lots of mats. They might have also noticed another player who landed to the left of them, meaning they could adapt their position to neutralize both the threat of the shotgun and third party. Notice how much more information was gained by knowing what to pay attention to. Having this information creates a huge advantage when it comes to knowing how to play a fight, which is one thing that separates pros from the average player. Another answer I got from Zen was they try their best to key right away. Keying right away gives you the benefit of closing out fights before players get the chance to loot up, preventing long drawn out fights. This isn't a groundbreaking concept, but I went into VODs to see how Zen keys players off spawn, since I have the feeling that his keying and my keying probably look a little different. Just like he mentioned, he keys players right off the bat to win 50-50s while they barely have any loot. Even when players are fully looted, he still gets on walls and takes aggressive angles, forcing them to rebox or make a play, capitalizing on any mistakes they make. Another thing I noticed was how he played in one-on-one versus third-party situations. If he was alone without any third party shooting at him, he had no problem going up in the build fight and playing more in the open. Being a good creative player, build fights are well within his comfort zone, and you could tell by the way he was easily predicting and piecing the other players. If a third party showed up, he would box up to play the fight protected from all angles, but the biggest thing to note is how active he still is. I'm guilty of boxing up during a third party and waiting till someone gets cracked to start fighting, but you can see in these fights he's constantly spraying and looking for angles to get the kill. One thing I personally took away from his box fighting was that he was making 2 boxes every time. And before you cook me in the comments, making space in a box fight has been a thing since chapter 2 and I know to do it. But Offspawn, I found myself playing from 1 because I didn't want to waste all my mats, but it would end up getting me killed. He isn't scared to use all his builds to help him win fights, which is a pretty simple concept, but I figured I'd include that in case anyone else had the same issue. The last and arguably most important part of Zen's Offspawn is his confidence. He goes into every fight thinking he's gonna win, which you could tell by how aggressive he plays. He jumped in this player's box with no shotgun and still won the fight by trusting his ability to hit shots. This is something I noticed in all pros. Even in high stakes situations, you'll see them make bold plays as if they'll respawn if it goes wrong. This kind of confidence gets rid of any hesitation that may stop them from playing to their full ability and make the plays necessary to win. This was a huge factor in my gameplay because I'm actually capable of fighting in the mid game, but off spawn my confidence is much lower and it made me play significantly worse. I was too worried about dying that it made me play safer and hesitant, causing me to use my mechanics less and put more pressure on me hitting my shots, which definitely played a factor in my aim. The best way to demonstrate this kind of confidence is to queue into a pub game and notice how you fight. You're not worried about dying, you just run to every fight and pick up the kill because you know you're better than everyone there. That's how pros feel when playing ranked in tournaments. Once I realized this, I went into my 100 games not caring if I died and just played to the best of my ability, and it's almost as if I unlocked the rest of my fighting skill. I was taking aggressive angles in box fights, jumping in boxes, and actually using my mats to fully piece players. In the first 100 games, I had a 26% win rate with a total of 119 kills. After implementing the basics and pro advice, I increased my win rate by 52% and more than doubled my kills with 261. I'm playing much better angles, I'm way more aware of my surroundings, and I'm hitting shots that have players thinking I'm on controller.
He's probably playing from phone or from console. Oh, I mean he moving like a bot. think he's controller.
While I've gotten much better and my number of deaths has dropped significantly, another problem became responsible for the majority of my losses: over-aggression. While making aggressive plays has contributed to my success, it also backfired at times. Playing aggressive is a double-edged sword. When it works, it's great, but when it doesn't, you wish you would have played safer. I was sure that pros must have faced the same issue, but I never saw it since I only watched their good games. So this led me to ask, how do pros die off spawn? As I suspected, they also go down the overly aggressive angles, usually not as reckless as jumping in the box, but giving up a safe position to try to end the fight quicker. Aside from that, I wasn't able to find any super consistent causes of death other than getting out macroed on a chest or losing an aim duel on the 50-50 drop. When pros are evenly matched in the fight, it comes down to who has the advantages mentioned at the beginning of the video. If you want more in-depth information on these advantages and how to create them, I linked a bunch of Offspawn resources in the description, including Destiny Jesus Masterclass Academy. He did a full session covering Offspawn and makes updates every week, including live sessions with pro players and coaches covering every aspect of the game for $9 a month. If you learned something, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later.